My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. And today I want to talk about the words dominance and submission. Now, right away, I think everybody's mind goes towards sex. And it can be, that's definitely a part of it. But I want to talk about all of what dominance and submission is in terms of life and how people connect. Why do I want to talk about this? Because as usual, I listen to people all the time, and I'm noticing therapists, YouTubers that have a lot of subscribers, but they don't know how to give out real information. Life coaches, they talk about this a lot. And one of the things that they do is that they're trying to get women, again, I talked about this on the last show a little bit, they're trying to get women to be more disagreeable or as disagreeable as possible. Because somehow they think that being disagreeable means that you are dominant. Mistake number one. There's plenty of 2-year-old kids that are incredibly, they want to be disrespectful, even though they're two, they want to be disagreeable. I get all that. They're not dominant. Over the years, I might see somebody walking through a parking lot, they ask me for money, and obviously they're in trouble. And typically I wouldn't give them money. I would offer them food or at least to buy them food. And most of the time the answer is no. They don't want food, they want the money. So they're being disagreeable. Now, no judgment here, just speaking truth about a capitalistic society. If you have no money and you need money from others and you're on the street begging for money, you're not dominant. Again, no judgment, just speaking truth here. So again, there's no correlation between being dominant and disagreeable or disagreeable and dominance. So to teach that doesn't make any sense. So let's go over this a little bit. My first question, if you're the type of person to put somebody else's welfare ahead of yours, their safety and security above yours, their pleasure, their comfort above yours, would you be a dominant person or a submissive person? And the obvious answer is that you would be a very submissive person because you're acquiescing to other people, you're giving to other people, you're making sure that other people are safe and secure and receiving pleasure and receiving happiness above your own a lot of times. So that would make sense, you're kind of submissive. However, here's the other part to it. Is submissive always bad? Why do we say that it's bad now? I think being dominant can be very good certain times, but being dominant is also not a good choice. Is submissive always a bad thing? No, many times it's a good thing. So one of my questions I would have also is, are you actually strong enough? Are you powerful enough? Are you dominant enough to be submissive? Interesting question, because most people don't think like that. So what am I trying to get at? Here's the point. If you are strong, you're powerful, you have resources, you're successful, you're emotionally intelligent, you have enough for yourself and a surplus to be able to give away to other people, guess what? You're probably a very dominant person. You've been able to extract money from a capitalistic society. You've been able to educate yourself, whether it's through book knowledge or whether it's through emotional intelligence. That's a dominant person. They're grabbing the world, they're taking what they need from it. However, it's that type of person that has what they need to give to other people. So I would suggest, and I've got 1,000 different ways I can prove this, is that the more dominant a person is, the more submissive that they tend to be. Question, what type of people, what type of men do women like? By percentage. Most of them like a guy who is disagreeable. Why would this be? Because there's a good side to being disagreeable. Disagreeable traits we can look at. somebody who is ambitious, somebody who never gives up, somebody who's competitive, somebody who can lose or fail, refuses to take no for an answer, and keeps moving forward. Why would a woman want a guy like that? Because that's a good guy to go through the world with. It makes them feel safe, because most likely they're going to be a person who can support somebody, who can make other people around them feel secure and not feel so anxious. So while we're sitting here saying that dominant men are bad in some way, that's not really true, because women prefer that. Now, why do men like agreeable women? We did that last week. I don't want to get that into that now, but you can go back to that. So the strongest men are the most submissive. When and how? Well, it depends. When they go out in the world, they're being very dominant. But when they find a woman that they care about, they become very submissive to that woman. You can be both. Is it good to be a good fighter? Yes. Is it good to be a good lover? Yes. You know what's even better? The ability to do both, and to know when to do both. Now, what is a man looking for in order to move from that dominance to submission? Typically, he's going to want to feel appreciated by that woman. He's going to want to be respected. He's going to want to have emotional support. He doesn't want to be second-guessed all the time. He wants physical affection. He wants acknowledgement. Acknowledge what? His currency. What's his currency? Could be anything. If he wants to be known, or he really takes pride in being smart, being tough, being strong, being good looking, being whatever, if the woman acknowledges that and notices that, he's going to feel 10 feet tall. And thus, he's going to want to be as submissive as possible in order to make that woman feel good. Also, he wants to be free. He wants to be allowed to be a man. What does that mean? A strong, successful man who does well in the world has done well in the world without that much help from other people. So why would he want to be around another woman who is being coached by other people to be disagreeable, who is trying to shut him down and maybe second guess him on the skills that he knows that he has? It should be a given that all human beings want to be with another human who loves them for who they are and wants to shine a light on all of the great qualities that they have and all the potentials that they have. You want to be able to grow with another person. When you're in a relationship, if one person rises, everybody rises in that. And I mean the partner, and if you have kids, they rise as well. So why wouldn't you want to sit back and applaud and be a cheerleader for your partner instead of rip him up and put him down? That's why men like agreeable women. Women like disagreeable men for the reasons I said. They're types of people who can be successful. That doesn't mean what a lot of these other YouTubers are saying, that women like bad guys. Listen, nobody likes a bad guy, right? Nobody wants somebody to come home, start drinking, get violent, get angry, be emotionally abusive. Nobody's talking about that. That's not the way. Women don't like that, okay? That's not what we mean by being a strong guy. And I don't know why we equate being dominant with being a jerk. Like, there's a big difference. So I'm going to beat this, all of this to death here as many times. So if you felt like you know where I'm going and you want to cut out, you can do that. If not, I have a lot of other examples to show you that it takes a very strong man to be submissive. And most dominant men are submissive in the right circumstances. So I'm going to read this real quick. Because I think this is good information for everybody to have. Because again, a lot of people are wrong and they're not understanding what submissive actually means. The Greek word that was translated into submission actually means to get under and to lift up or to put in order. It does not mean obedience. The original concept of submission does not condone subjugation or insinuate that a woman has to totally relinquish her will to her husband or positioning him as a superior. The concept of submission simply means to willfully deploy oneself in the service of their partner, and it can be easily translated to the word support. How's that? Still want to fight me on what dominance and submission means? People can, but they're going to go down the wrong route. Let me read you this real quick too, while I'm here and I have this opened up. I've got this from Dr. John Gray. Why would I care? Dr. John Gray wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Over the years, people have tried to put that book down to say it wasn't good. For whatever reason, culture has changed, and therefore, his book now is somehow sexist or not good. Let's get to the bare thing of it, though. First of all, John Gray is probably one of the most famous therapists in the world, and his book is probably the most successful psychology book ever written. At the time, I think I checked, like 10 years ago, there was already over, 25, 30 million copies sold. I tried to see him it wasn't even a conference. He came in to do a talk at UNLV. It was standing room only. You couldn't get a ticket for that. I was lucky. I was sitting in the back, but there were people lined up outside. People couldn't even get a parking space because everybody wanted to see this guy. And it wasn't just therapists. It was people from everywhere just wanting to get this information. And here's some of the information I will give you. And once again, if you don't like it, throw it away. But I think it's good information. He says the strongest drive a man has is the desire to please a woman. Okay, is that true? Probably is true for most men. And the more dominant a man is, the more real that actually is. But in that one sentence, what are we saying? The strongest drive in a man is the desire to please a woman. That means he wants to be submissive to that woman. Because in order for him to be happy, she has to be happy. So she determines whether he feels good about himself or if he's happy or not. Extremely important to know. This willful desire gives him power. It first manifests as a sex drive, and later, as he is able to and he becomes more mature, he blends it with the desire to love, to respect, to understand, and care for a woman. When a man can be appreciated physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, then his power is at a maximum. So in other words, the woman is driving his strength and power just by appreciating him more. This is important to know. Stop listening to YouTubers telling you to be disagreeable. Oh, it also says being appreciated is a male's primary need. Again, we're talking about, in psychology, we talk about a lot of times that you want to have internal validation. You don't want to have to be a person that needs external validation because you give your power away. Well, literally in here, it says being appreciated by a woman is his primary need. So what you're saying is that the strongest men out there, the most dominant, the most aggressive in the world, are actually giving their power away to women because they just want to be appreciated. What does that mean? They want to be in the service of, and they want to be submissive to a good woman and a family. Let's continue with this. Let's talk about marriage for a second. The more money a man makes, the more likely he is to want to be married, the more likely he is to get married, and the more likely he is to stay married. Flip side. The more money a woman makes, the more likely she wants to stay single, and the more likely she is that if she is married, the more likely she is to be the one who files for divorce. Interesting. So the more money a man makes, the more money he wants to give away. The more money a woman makes, the more she wants to keep it to herself. And there's another part to this. The more successful a man is, the more likely he wants to spend the money on a woman and a family. But the more successful the woman is, the more likely she is to seek out a person who has as much money as her, or still another man who has more money than her. Because she's still not willing to spend her resources to stay in that relationship. She still wants to be taken care of. I'm not saying that that's bad or good. I'm just saying what is by the numbers. Very interesting to look at, because when we look at, again, how we're having this push these days for women to be, again, I'll say it, to be disagreeable because they're afraid to be submissive. There are a lot of women out there that are still looking for powerful guys. And they're okay with the guy making more money. As a matter of fact, as guys make more, they want to give away more. When women do better, there's really not a lot of evidence to show that when a woman does better, she actually wants to give back to other people. It's an interesting thought. Think about it as you will. Some more interesting things. I come from a very Italian background. I don't want to tell you my mother's full name, but I've got one side of the family that's Sicilian, my father's side. My mother was half Irish, but her last name was Garcia, so I also have that Spanish in me. And I could tell you that Italian and Spanish, very dominant male cultures, but there's something that these dominant male cultures know. I'll take it from the Italian perspective. The man wants to be the head of the family. Uh-oh, that sounds bad, right? Ooh, dominant, ooh, bad man, wants to subjugate the woman. You think that's true? It's not true, because what every one of those tough, masculine, Italian men know, they want to be the head of the family, right, but they also know that the woman is the neck. And the neck is what tells the head which direction it's going to point in. So if the woman says there's a problem over there, the man goes for it. And this happens from when you're a little kid, right? Like even my sister, I was always that big brother that wanted to help. She had a problem and some guy treated her wrong. She's gonna get a visit. The guy's gonna get a visit from me. Somebody did something else wrong to her, whatever it could be. And there just might be a little disturbance when I showed up. And this is typical of strong masculine men, is that, yeah, they want to be the head of the family. They want to be asked to do things. They want to be able to be competent. But they're also, in a way, begging for somebody to ask them for help, to do something, so they could be in the service of somebody. So it's both. So you can't just be sitting there going, oh my God, this man wants to be dominant. What a bad person. It's not bad. You need to be dominant in this world to have good things. But while you're doing that, that's the person who's going to be giving you good things as well, and giving back not just to his family, but to the community at large. And that's why we need people like this, instead of just putting them down all the time. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why people do that anymore. Let's take a look at the Titanic, just for example. Just another interesting example. So we know that a lot of people died on the Titanic. The survival rate for men on the Titanic was about 20%. The survival rate for women was about 75%. Why do you think this is? Because women can float better? Because women can swim better? No, that's not the reason. The reason is because all the men were in submission to the women and children. They were the ones helping their wives, other people's girlfriends, to get on the lifeboats while they waved goodbye because they knew that they were going to die. Now, there were some men who survived, but they were shamed for living. Think about that. So when we sit back tonight and we think about dominance and submission, who are the submissive ones when we really think about it? Because it's pretty submissive to send a bunch of women off on lifeboats while they're sitting there waving goodbye and they know that they're going to die. Because if they were actually dominant, not one woman would have survived. They would have thrown them all off the boats and the men would have survived, right? But they didn't do that. They passively hung back and just waited for themselves to drown. Simple. Let's talk about chivalry for a second. What is chivalry? We're starting to lose it a little bit, that's true. But chivalry means to be polite, kind, unselfish behavior, especially towards women. If you're a chivalrous person, you uphold justice, you resist injustice, and you serve that which is holy in the world without reservation, without expecting money. You try to care for the weak, the persecuted, and the wronged. You emphasize courtesy, honor, respect, and interaction with women. It's the male code. You can go back centuries if you want, and you can find this code. Every culture, every group of men had this type of chivalry somewhere. The word I keep using over and over is the word serve. Interestingly enough, the samurai also had a code. The term and the word samurai actually means to serve. So if we know that when you're in the service of people, you're actually submissive, why do we try to keep saying that being submissive is such a bad thing? Why do we not want to support people? Dominant men who follow the man code have been submissive to communities and their wives, their girlfriends, their mothers, and people throughout all of human history. So now we have people saying that being submissive for women is bad because they don't want to support their men. I don't really understand this way of thinking. So I think that's about pretty much what I have to say today. Again, the question becomes, are you even strong enough to be submissive? And I'm wondering why people are being afraid of being submissive. Why would you not want to comfort and support people you love? Doesn't make sense to me. So hopefully you've learned a little bit today about dominance and submission and what it really is. And the fact of the matter is that depending on the situation, and you should be in certain situations dominant, in some situations you should be submissive. Let me add this one thing real quick, because I know people out there, when they hear, again, dominance and submission, they think of sex. So let's talk about it for a second. We're allowed to talk about this. Does a woman want a man who's dominant in bed? The easy answer here was to say yes. Why? Because being a good lover for a man is a skill. And there's no way you could be good in bed if you're a man, if you're not dominant. You have to be dominant over yourself. You have to be able to control yourself. You have to be skillful enough to please a woman. In order to do that, you can't be soft and wimpy, lackadaisical, anxiety-ridden. You have to have confidence. We can use the word dominance here. However, is that true all the time? Because here's the thing. If you're a man and you're a good lover, you're going to want to please your woman first, repeatedly, and often, before you please yourself. How do you do that? That means you're literally holding back all of your pleasure. Well, not all of it. I mean, you would get emotional pleasure from giving her pleasure, but I'm talking about you're holding back your physical pleasure to support her pleasure, her comfortableness. In order to do that, you're servicing her. You're holding yourself back in order to make sure she has everything she needs. You're the nurturer. You're the comforter. Guess what? You are in the service of her, meaning that you are in a submissive state. So can you be dominant and submissive at the same time? Unequivocally, the answer is absolutely yes. And you should be. And I hope women, appreciate a strong, dominant man and stop trying to be as disagreeable as possible. I'm Joe Peroni. This is the Rise Above Project. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.